If someone tells you that AI is going to completely replace consumer research, that's like saying the calculator replaced mathematics. AI is not killing consumer research, it is killing the slow and mechanical and linear way we used to do it. In today's video, I'm using my 10 years of real-world market and consumer research experience. What AI has changed in marketing research? I break AI's role into 3 stages. Let's get into it. Stage 1 is preparation. I call it the clone protocol. Every research project starts with a brief and a discussion guide. Traditionally, a lead researcher builds this from scratch. It takes hours to define scope, write screening criteria, and sequence the logic. And now, SOP your past experience. You take your best discussion guide, your probing logic, your screening frameworks, and turn them into a structured prompt system. So when a new project comes, you tell the AI, using my standard framework, draft a guide for this specific target group. You get a 90% usable draft in 5 minutes, and then you can spend 20% of your time fine-tuning. So in this way, AI is not replacing you, it is cloning your best days. Stage 2 is recruitment. I call this the phantom panel. The biggest bottleneck in traditional research is finding the right humans, right consumers to interview. It can take several weeks. Can AI replace this part? Physically, no, because AI cannot find you a real person sit in a room and for you to interview. But AI introduced a game changer, synthetic users. You train AI personas based on your existing data, like past reports, product reviews, social chatter. Once built, you can skip recruitment entirely and start testing concepts immediately. And think of this like a flight simulator. 80% of a pilot training happens in a simulator because it saves time and money. But a simulator can never replace the real physical and psychological panic of a real engine failure. Synthetic users accelerate your early validation, but they have a clear boundary when it comes to the physical world. Which brings me to my final point later. Stage 3 is analytics. I call it the detective lens. Traditionally, after you finish an interview of consumers, you will look at mountains of transcripts, manually highlighting quotes and coding responses. It is very time-consuming. And to be fair, text analysis is where AI can bring the best value. It operates 10 times human speed. But if you just dump a 100% page transcript into AI and say, find me the insights, you will get a pile of correct nonsense. This is because finding insight isn't an objective thing. It requires a framework. For example, I used to use the job to be done framework. Consumers just don't buy a product, they hire them to do the job. So I don't ask AI to generate insights. I write a structured prompt. For example, extract the functional jobs, emotional jobs, and specific trigger events that cause the brand switching. This is how I use my framework to tell AI how to find the insights for me. So AI is an ultra high-powered microscope, but if you don't know which aspect to look at or which area to use, you won't see anything. Your analytical framework is the instruction manual for the AI. And right now, pay attention because this is the most important part of the video. Everything I just mentioned is heavy lifting, but there are things AI cannot do right now. Not because the technology is not there yet, but because of its fundamental nature. I call this the barefoot test. First, AI cannot experience the physical world. When I was consulting for the wide drive vacuum brand, I asked the synthetic AI user, what is your standard for the clean floor? AI responded, smooth, reflective, dust-free, and no visible stains. And that's also how brands will currently claim their benefit in their homepage or in their landing page. It is correct, but it's not useful and not communicate to the consumers. The real scenario, a human user told me this. Clean means I can walk barefoot around the house all day, and when I get into bed at night, the bottom of my feet are not black. Walk barefoot all day. This sentence is pure commercial gold. It tells marketing team how to define efficacy and give the marketing team the hook to trigger a purchase. AI cannot come up with that. AI can never walk barefoot on the hardwood. And second, AI has no human imagination and out-of-the-box usage. One of the examples is that when I was working on laundry beads projects, the real consumer will share their actual life hacks. For example, one would dissolve the beads into hot water to make a DIY room spray. Another user put dry beads into tea bags and hang in their closet. That consumer redefined the project from a laundry addictive to an entire home fragrance system. So that's a category defining insight. AI can never invent this, cannot validate if it really works in the physical world. So is AI replacing consumer research? I think they replace the muscle, not the mind. It phases out the people who only know how to write a basic survey, transcribe a video, or just format a PowerPoint. But what AI completely fails to replace is your empathy for real human lives, and your analytical frameworks, and also your ability to turn my feet are not black into a multi-million-dollar product strategy. Your experience is your only true mode. So if this video gives you a new perspective on AI and business, hit subscribe and I will share more deep dives into the front lines of marketing strategy plus AI.